Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I am Chris.
And we're two nerds trying to find our way in the universe. And it breaks my heart to say, but you don't keep up with comic books as much as I do.
Not as much as you do, no.
But that means that I get to retell some of them to you. Comic books, other, erroneous stories in Star Wars. We call this Star Wars Story Time. So today we're telling the tale of the Destiny Path #1 by Charles Soule, who is the guy that's been doing The Rise of Kylo Ren, and then the Age of Resistance and Age of Rebellion, and those like really cool comics.
Pretty good writer.
Yeah, he's my favorite comic guy right now. And the stories they've been telling through these comics have been really cool. I'm gonna set the setting real quick. Okay. So we are in the Star Wars universe, of course.
Naturally.
I presume hours after Luke's duel with Darth Vader at Bespin.
Okay.
So he's missing his hand, right? And he's a little sad. Well, actually, he's more than just a little sad.
I was going to say.
Yeah, he's actually like having some pretty serious PTSD. And he's like sitting on that like little bench in the Falcon, just like
rocking back and forth.
Yeah, he's like just flashing back, just over and over again, hearing Vader tell him that he's his father, and seeing his hand fly off. And
dude needs to get some therapy.
Yeah. And like also probably wants to fuck Leia a little bit, but he doesn't know it's not okay yet. That's beside the point. So meanwhile, Chewie and Lando and Leia are having an argument about rescuing Han, right? And so Lando's trying to like talk some sense into him, and he's like, "Listen, maybe we could have caught him in the Falcon before they went to light speed. That's believable. It's the Falcon. It's the fastest ship in the galaxy. We didn't do that. He escaped. Even if we caught up with him, what are we going to do? Blow the ship up? Like, we can't board Slave 1. Like, it's fucking Boba Fett. So we catch up to him, we blow him up, and then what happens? Like, Han's still, gone or whatever.
He's frozen in carbonite. You could pick him up from space.
Right. So Chewie takes that as a good moment to just scream at him for betraying them.
Yeah.
Because, Chewie's kind of beside himself.
Yeah.
He wants to, like, go save him. And Lando talks some sense, and then Chewie's like, well, fuck you. You betrayed us.
The end of Empire Strikes Back was not really happy for anybody.
No, it was not. And so Leia, like, chimes in. She's like, no, that was really a dick move, what you did back there. And Lando was like, we could have gone back and saved Han. But you went and saved this asshole, and like points to Luke.
Yeah.
And Luke's like still kind of like rocking back and
He
forth.
doesn't even notice.
Yeah. And he's like, why is this kid so special? And Leia's like, that's Luke fucking Skywalker.
He blew up the Death Star.
He blew up the Death Star. And Lando's like,
oh.
So that's why Vader wanted him so much. And she's like, yeah, stop being a dick. And so they pretty much all like, he's trying to tell him like, we all lost shit. Okay. I had a good life over at Bespin.
I had an entire fucking city.
I had a cape. People listened to me. It was really cool.
I had this android buddy. It's not really clear what Lebo is.
Okay. Lando has a weird thing with droids.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not exactly sure what his whole thing with L3 was. Maybe Lobot was. I don't even know.
Lobot. That's his name.
Yeah. So, like 3PO chimes in, and he's like, I lost my arms and legs. And like everyone like turns and looks at him.
No one cares, 3PO.
Well, he gives him that expression like in Rise of Skywalker when they line up his son, and he's like, blah, 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 the Aki Aki, blah, blah. And he's like spouting all this, and they just like look at him, and he's like, what the fuck you guys looking at? Yeah, he just like stands there. He's like, what's the problem?
I'm right.
Yeah. So Lando's like, look, we'll get Han back. We know where he's going. He's going to Jabba the Hutt, right? Yeah. So we don't need to catch Boba Fett.
We don't need to track him.
Yeah. And so 3PO kind of like chimes in. He's like, Jabba the Hutt? Well, no, he's going to murder Han. As soon as he gets there, he's going to murder him. And everyone like looks at him, and he's like, what?
I'm right.
Yeah. So, and like Luke is still kind of like having trouble
disturbed
with reality, and he suddenly realizes, he's like, that was Han that they were wheeling. Like I saw him when I got at Cloud City. I could have saved him. Which starts a whole other self-deprecating, like, you suck as a Jedi, go fuck off, And he also tells Leia that while he's hanging from the antenna thing, tried to reach out to Ben, and Ben just like gave him the cold shoulder. And Leia's like, look, he'll either answer you or he won't, and you'll find your own path. Doesn't matter. Like, you're a badass. I believe in you. I need you to snap out of this because we're in a lot of trouble.
Also, a year or so from now, I'm gonna have a kid. I'm gonna name it after that asshole who ignored you.
Yeah. Also, there are some other unresolved things we need to work on.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So Leia's like, fine, we can't save Han, but we can save everyone else. We need to run to the Rebel fleet. The Rebel fleet's in trouble. And Lando's like, can we stop fighting? Like, we need to go and lay low. I know a guy at Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah.
We can go there and hang out for a little bit. And Leia's like, let me rephrase. I am commandeering the Millennium Falcon for the rebellion. We're going to go help. If you would like to stay here in the vacuum of space, that's fine. There's the airlock. And so Lando like, and she's like, oh, when you betrayed us, you're a fuckhead. Then,
All right.
Yeah. So,
fine.
right. So Lando's like, whatever, and sits down. Meanwhile, the Rebel fleet is getting fucked. The TIE fighters everywhere. Shit's blowing up. One of their Nebula and B frigates blows up.
Yeah.
And one of the ships, I cut in my notes, I call him Papa Dameron because he's Poe Dameron's father.
Yeah.
Is like, because he's a soldier, he's not a pilot. And he's like watching on, and they're like, what the fuck are you looking for? And he's like, well, my wife, she's a pilot, and I just want to make sure she hasn't like died yet. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. So it turns out that the fleet is blockaded by a fleet of Star Destroyers. And there's like the Star Destroyers, the Rebel fleet, and a star. So they're fucked.
Yeah.
Right? There's nowhere for them to go. Which, let me just take a moment and say, I've never understood the concept of blockades in space. Because space isn't like the atmosphere of a planet.
Three-dimensional.
Yeah, it's not like you run into the ground. Or you can go literally in an infinite number of directions, right? Anyway, they're a blockade in space. Looking on the battle is who I presume is going to be our evil antagonist, Commander Zara. So she's watching the battle on the Star Destroyer called Tarkin's Will. Which I was like, that's pretty metal. Like,
okay,
that's a pretty neat. It's like the USS John McCain
Yeah.
So she's like watching the battle, and she's real happy about it. She's like a little titillated because this is all like her idea and shit.
Yeah.
And a tech is like looking at scanners, and he's like, "Hey, an X-wing just broke through the blockade. We don't have any guns to spare because we're killing everything else."
She's like, "You give me your gun.
Yeah,
I'm gonna blow it up."
Yeah. Well, have you seen this? Have you read it?
I think so. I think you showed it to me at one point.
Well, I can't have because I just read it for the first time today.
Okay, then I must have found it on my own.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's like, "Okay, give me manual control of one of the turbo lasers," and everyone's like, "What are you even talking about?" And
you can't shoot that.
Yeah. And the one guy is like, "Do what she says. You'll be glad that you did."
She's like, "I used to bullseye womp rats on a T-16 back home."
Yeah. So they're like, "Okay, well, we got turbo laser. It's a manual control. Here you go. Have fun, little lady, with your gun, and we're gonna go fight the battle." And she like presses the button, blows the X-wing up, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay, well,
fuck, she actually knows what she's doing."
Yeah, she's like, "We're no longer gonna mansplain anything to you." So the rebels detect a ship coming in, and they're like, "Is this like another Star Destroyer?" And Millennium Falcon. And they're like, "Yes, it's the Millennium Falcon." But it's just a Millennium
they're gonna
Falcon.
die now.
Yeah, it's like it's one ship. So and the Imperials pull the blow that piece of junk out of the sky. And so they send all the TIE fighters after it, like all the guns and shit.
Yeah.
Leia gets on the thing, the comm system, gets the rebels on the phone, and she's like, "Here, go over here to this spot. We're gonna take care of this." And the guy's like, "Look, it's not that we're not happy to see you. We're not sure what difference you're going to make, but we'll do what you say because you're Leia and everything. Good luck and may the force be with you." Hangs up the phone and is like, "Okay, we're going to die now." And so Leia's like, we need to blow a hole in this blockade. And Lando's like, oh, why didn't we think of that? He's like, this ship doesn't even have missiles. And Chewie's like,
bitch,
we have like 12 missiles. And he's like, you guys added missiles?
When the fuck did you get missiles?
Yeah. He's like, well, that's actually pretty cool. So Chewie comes up with this plan. You blow up the turbo lasers on the one side of this Star Destroyer, and it'll create a hole in infinite space.
All right.
For the Rebel fleet to run through.
All right, fine.
And Lando's like, can we not fight? Like, look, there's nothing to be ashamed of escaping to fight another day. I care about the cause. I understand. Leia's like, shut up.
You
like,
don't.
You
don't care about anything.
Also, you betrayed us. We're like, we haven't forgot about that, so sit the fuck down.
It was literally like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, they come up with their plan. Leia's like, okay, we'll go with your plan. I'm going to get up in the guns. Luke, you come with me. And Lando is like, okay, look, if we're going to do this, I need to fly the Falcon. I'm a good pilot, blah, blah, blah. He like sets his case. It's a good case.
Yeah.
He's flown the Falcon before, it used to be literally his ship.
I mean, he's probably a little rusty because he hadn't had it for a few years.
Yeah. Chewie screams at him a bit, and then like there's a really funny panel where like the next panel is just him pointing toward the pilot's seat and just like trying not to look at him. And so Lando's like, okay, cool, yeah. So he sits down. They're taking out TIE fighters. Luke is still a little PTSD distracted.
Plus, he only has one hand.
Right. Yeah. There are like a multitude of reasons why he shouldn't be the one gunning right now.
But he is.
Yeah. And so it's pretty much just Leia, right? And Luke's like, crying into his computer.
I got one.
Yeah. And so Lando's like, so are there only one of you down there? Because these TIE fighters are really eating us up. And they really, they kind of fuck the Falcon up quite a bit. And Leia is like, Luke, you need to shoot some TIE fighters because we're going to die. And Luke's like, oh, I'm such a failure. I can't even shoot fucking TIE fighters out of the air. And he gets really upset. And he closes his eyes and he just goes to cry. And all of a sudden, all the TIE fighters lose control. And all the TIE pilots are like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And Leia's like,
Luke, whatever you're doing, keep it up.
Whatever. The Force works in mysterious ways. Yeah. And they shoot all the TIE fighters. They blow the hole in the thing and then they escape. Just like in every fucking Star Wars thing. Yep. You blow the thing and
you you go and you're good.
So Commander Zara's like, fuck. Captain Nita was 6 hours ago.
I'm totally gonna get choked.
Yeah.
And not in a sexy way.
Yeah, right. Which
if you're into that, great.
Which, by the way, wouldn't necessarily surprise me. So she gets on the phone to Vader and she's like, okay, I've got some good news and some really good news and a little bit of bad news. And Vader's like, okay. She's like, good news. We're on the good news.
Okay.
We cracked the Rebels code and we are able to locate 2 Rebel cells.
Okay, that's pretty good news.
One of them we obliterated completely. They're gone.
Nice.
They're not going to be in the next Star Wars movie. Those guys are fucked.
Well done, Commander Zara.
And Vader's like, well, what about the other one? And she's like, it escaped. And he's like, that's not good enough. Fuck you. And it's she tried so hard to be like, don't be mad. We did mostly good stuff.
Yeah.
And Vader's just like, I just do not have the patience for this. I just found out, or I just told my son, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't say any of this stuff to her, but he's pretty much just like, you do that shit again, I'm going to kill you. And she's like, I'll take it.
Okay. At least you're not killing me now.
Backing away slowly. In the name of Captain Nita, goodbye.
Have a good day, Lord Vader.
So, meanwhile,
Legion of Doom.
Yeah. Leia kind of deduces that the Empire is able to break their code. And she figures out that if one of the cells sends a message to the other one, both parties can be trackable.
That's a problem.
Which means that they can't call each other to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And so they don't know. Everyone could be dead. They have no way of calling them because that opens themselves up to being found out and also endangers them.
It's a problem.
Yeah, so they're trying to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, Luke is by himself in a room with a window, and he's trying to talk to Yoda. And I've been a little bit glib about Luke so far in this comic, but he really is fucked up.
Yes.
And like for a really good reason. And he's like got all of these things in his mind about remembering Ben telling him that his Vader betrayed and killed his father, and then Vader telling him that he was his father and stuff. And,
Obi-Wan, you lying son of a bitch.
Yeah. And so he's like, Yoda, I really fucked this up, and I understood that. I understand you told me this is going to happen. I lost my lightsaber. I lost my hand. I'm really confused about this Vader thing. Can you please talk to me? Nothing. Not a damn word.
Well, in fairness, we know that only Snoke could do that.
Right.
Could talk to people across interstellar distance.
Well, I think, everything to Luke right now is brand new because he doesn't know anything about the Force. He's like, so anyone can talk to anyone with the Force. Yeah. And so, of course, Yoda doesn't answer. And, Luke gets really frustrated and really angry. Loses a little bit of control. And, the glass in this room, cracks. And he's like, ooh, we're in space.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And,
let me just not do that.
Yeah, and R2's like,
are you okay, dude?
Yeah, he's like, I mean, break it. I don't care. I can breathe in space. You can't, but
I'll be fine.
Yeah, and so he starts kind of talking to R2 because it's really the only thing he has now. And Yoda won't talk to him. Ben won't talk to him, and so from that, his logic goes to they don't want me as a student anymore. I've really fucked up. I'm not worthy to be a Jedi. And if I am who Vader says that I am, maybe I shouldn't be a Jedi. And then R2 has been in sleep mode the whole time and just hasn't heard.
What?
Yeah, I'm kidding. And that's how the comic ends. And so this is a brand new comic. It's from 2020. And I don't have much in the way of analysis or anything. I love these Star Wars comics that happen moments after something that happened in a film. They did the same thing with the Poe Dameron series, which may or may not have been Charles Soule. I'll have to look into that. Takes place on the ride back from Crate after The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And they're all still kind of sad about Luke and stuff. And it's really cool because it's it's just an extension of the movie. It's really neat to see. It also is a story about Luke Skywalker, which will get me on board. And so there's a part of me that loves seeing, the mature Luke Skywalker, Jedi Grandmaster and everything. But one of the reasons that Luke was so palatable to kids watching Star Wars is because he has that true hero's journey, where he knows a certain life and then something happens and he changes and he leaves and he learns stuff and he fails and all. It's pretty much every adult where you think you've got everything figured out and then you're like, shit, I can't pay the rent, and you fail at something or in your career or something. Everyone is Luke Skywalker pretty much on their journey to being a Jedi and everything. So it's cool to see a part of his life where he's still in the fucking up part and he's still discovering things about his, especially in this comic, his astounding power. He can't focus for 3 seconds and an entire TIE squadron is fucked.
Yeah.
And he's just now realizing he's like, I am deadly, and if I am the son of Darth Vader, that could really fuck the whole galaxy up. So I'm interested to see where it goes. You guys that are watching, let us know if you've read this. If you haven't, go to Star Wars Comic Story and check it out. It was just released. It's a 2020 comic, so it's within the last couple weeks. And read it. Let us know what you think. The art is beautiful. Charles Soule, I think, is a genius. The cool thing about Star Wars Comic Story is that all the music on his channel, it's none of the music from the movies, but it's music from the video games and stuff, and which is still really cool music. So it's you still feel like you're immersed in Star Wars and everything. It's really cool. So leave us a comment. like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on Facebook. We'll play some video games for you. We usually do a live stream almost every day. I play Battlefront on there. We have a podcast if you're into those kinds of things on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud, so check us out there. We have kind of an unfiltered, unedited discussion, probably a little bit longer than what you're seeing here on YouTube, so check us out there, and we will see you on the next video.